We ain't got time. It's August 17, 2021. I am Jarrin Jackson and I love America. Thank you for watching. I am a Bible-believing Christian, constitutional defending, patriotic Rush baby Linwood, multiple time endorsed Trump supporter. Today is going to be a good day. We're going to be talking about Linwood's strike, his economic strike, economic war. Seems like the Live Local has moved to the next phase in phase one of this live stream. We're going to be examining Linwood's strike from the perspective of recruitment. A lot of people are troubled about how they don't see people coming onto their side. They don't see people coming. They're so lost. I don't know what to do. These people, they're not waking up. They need to wake up. There's no one waking up. No one's awaked up. I want to talk about recruitment today. I want to talk about how to bring people to your side, things that we can do, tips, techniques, whatever. And I really don't like these types of broadcasts because I don't want to just give a list, because then people will only do the list and they won't think about the thinking behind the list. So please think about the thinking behind any thoughts that are communicated. Most important thing that I'm going to be communicating is the death, the burial, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's right. I'm never going to forget that. That is the power to salvation. The only way to go to heaven is to know that Jesus Christ took your place on the cross, was buried, and 3 days later he rose from the grave to prove that he conquers death. Amen. With that, we got a couple different things. Roll the rock. Let's go. Let's go. Godless Commie Australia. They are fast becoming modern-day Nazi Germany. Listen to this, Gutenberg.
Australian Defence Force and New South Wales Police working together on the back of contact tracing information. Went to a home in southwest Sydney yesterday morning and found a person that should be there, wasn't there. They made a number of inquiries and not that long after, that person returned to the front of the house in a motor vehicle. That person was spoken to by police and ADF, was issued a penalty infringement notice, stated that he'd hopped in his car and went out for some fresh air and hadn't been anywhere else. But the point is that if you are going to behave like this, yesterday over 2,300 houses visited. If you're going to behave like this, if you're going to step outside the health orders, you will be checked on. And you will get an infringement notice, and that person will continue to be checked on and make sure that they comply. There was another incident.
Yeah, going to make sure that they comply. They're going to continue to hunt down people that are going outside of where they're allowed to go to get fresh air, and then they're going to deploy assets and resources to follow up on that to make sure the behavior is as they want it to be, so that it's approved. Australia. Y'all shouldn't have given up your guns. America, do not give up your guns. We're going to be talking about a couple different things as we get into phase one. Linwood gave me a call. He inspired me a little bit today. He was like, "Jared, you inspire me. Let's go." I was like, "Okay, roger that." I'm gonna get a little bit more. I think it's a different phase. I think we're in a different phase. We're in a different phase. So I'm going to start behaving like we're in a different phase. But with that, the Godless Commies, you see the devastation in Afghanistan, how things are deteriorating there, spiraling downward. Joe Biden has not made public appearances. He made one, 17 minutes, and then he was gone. No questions. The teleprompter literally told him to leave now. There's images of Biden's teleprompter telling him to leave now. There's asked a question of the spokesperson at the State Department. Now again, the State Department is the diplomatic arena. They're supposed to be good at relations amongst countries and stuff, right? This guy was asked a question, had Joe Biden spoke to any world leaders since the fall of Afghanistan? Listen to this answer.
One, has the president spoken to any other world leaders since Kabul fell to the Taliban?
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong person. He has not yet spoken with any other world leaders. Myself, Secretary Blinken, several other senior members of the team have been engaged on a regular basis with foreign counterparts and we intend to do so in the coming days. Right now, the main issue is an operational issue. It's about how we coordinate with them to help them get their people out.
So, couple things. I want to bring this back up. Look at his body language. He's doing this. We're going to analyze what this is. So the content of his speech was that Biden, or his content of his answer was that Biden had not met with any world leaders, but trust him, senior staff members had. What I want to do is watch this. We're going to play that again. Watch his body language. There's a lot to learn from the body language. Watch this. Watch him again.
One, has the president spoken to any other world leaders since Kabul fell to the Taliban?
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong person. He has not yet spoken with any other world leaders. Myself, Secretary Blinken, several other senior members of the team have been engaged on a regular basis with foreign counterparts, and we intend to do so in the...
See, that was the end of the talking point. The end of the talking point was that they'd talk to people and counterparts. Look at this. As soon as he says we've talked to other people and counterparts, that's the end of the talking point. Then he goes into, now he's off script. Now he's off script and he has to start thinking. Listen again.
I was looking at the wrong person. He has not yet spoken with any other world leaders. Myself, Secretary Blinken, several other senior members of the team have been engaged on a regular basis with foreign counterparts.
That's the talking points. See how his hands are anchored to the podium? This is a position of solidarity. This is security. You are literally tying yourself to the podium. In fact, a lot of people, whenever they do public speaking, they'll use a podium because it's a barrier between them and the audience. It's a subliminal, subconscious, insecurity thing where you don't want people to pay attention to your junk or like how you stand or how fat you are or anything like that. So a lot of people will put barriers between themselves and other people, and a podium is just a really good example of that. A lot of public speakers stand behind things to create barriers between them and the audience. He is doing no different, but look at what he's doing with his arms down on the desk like they are. He is secure. He is grounded. Think of roots in a tree. You're not going to move, holding you down. He just answered the question. Biden hasn't talked to people, but don't worry. Our counterparts have. We've talked to other people. The counterparts of the State Department and whatnot have done that, so don't worry about it. Now, watch what he does with his hands almost instantaneously as soon as he stops the talking point.
And we intend to do so in the coming days. Right now, the main issue is an operational issue. It's about how we coordinate with them to help them get their people.
See, that is, so what he's doing right here with his hand, and this is an easy tell. Him picking up his hand in this context to further this explanation, he is, now this is just my read of things, but the context is that there's a lot of uneasiness because of Afghanistan. This man works for the State Department, but he's at the White House. So he's not at the State Department giving a State Department briefing. He's at the White House giving a White House briefing about State Department issues. So he is the associate. He's the backup. He's not the lead spokesman at the State Department. So he is the B-string spokesperson from the State Department now at the White House in front of the White House press pool. I don't know. This seems to be this person's very first time to be in this situation. He is likely nervous. That's why he was grounding himself to his podium. But now whenever he finished his talking point, that was insufficient. So now he deploys and employs his hand. What does his hand do? He's waving it as though he's trying to lead people to that conclusion, to get them from A to go to B. What's the A he's trying to get them away from to the B that he's trying to point them to? The A that he's trying to get them to go away from is Biden hasn't talked to any world leaders. The B that he's trying to get them to go to is, don't you guys see how this is an operational approach? Don't you see how we have this well in hand? Even if Joe Biden hasn't talked to world leaders, don't you see that there's experts in charge? The purpose of his hand, now get this, he's exchanged the comfort and the security of anchoring himself to his podium for the benefit, in his mind, the benefit of his hand motioning people. In other words, he has changed from insecurity and hey, I'm kind of nervous to, all right, come on guys, this is what we got to get going. Come on, look at the hand. This is an operational thing. We're trying to get to this position. Stop worrying about the fact that the president sucks. Watch it all over. You tell me what you think.
One, has the president spoken to any other world leaders since Kabul fell to the Taliban?
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong person. He has not yet spoken with any other world leaders. Myself, Secretary Blinken, several other senior members of the team have been engaged on a regular basis with foreign counterparts, and we intend to do so in the coming days. Right now, the main issue is an operational issue. It's about how we coordinate with them to help them get their people out.
Yep, he's trying to shift the focus. It's not about the fact that Joe Biden hasn't talked to world leaders. It's about the fact that we're trying to help them. We're trying to get them to do this. This is a process for them. This is their issue. Blame shifting. Cowardice. That's why we have bad leaders, because most of them don't believe in Jesus. But that guy, he's a godless commie, and he doesn't deserve to be in that position, and he's scared. It's always interesting. It's always interesting whenever you have someone who believes in Satanism, or a Muslim, because they all deny the gospel of Jesus Christ, calling out the Americans for the hypocrisy. Listen to this. This is the leader of the Taliban throwing a question about censorship and free speech right back in the face to the Western reporter asking the question.
دا سوال خو باید د فیسبوک له ادارې سره وي د بیان د ازادۍ دعوت دوی کوي او دلته خلک د بیان د ازادۍ.
This question should be asked to those people who are claiming to be promoters of freedom of speech, who do not allow publication of all information. I can ask Facebook company. This question should be asked to them.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, I mean, it's which one is more clear about where they come from? The jihadi Taliban that's gonna, brutalize and do genital mutilation to little girls because that's what they teach in their satanic book, the Quran, or Facebook, who will say one thing and then completely do the other. Just very interesting to me, the levels of hypocrisy going on. I'm gonna play for you a video. No, I'm not gonna do it yet. I'm going to play for you, this is Circleback. So Circleback got back to the podium after B-String, and Circleback was asked a question about citizens getting out of Afghanistan. Listen very closely. We may have to play it twice. Listen very closely what she answers whenever she's asked about evacuating American citizens.
That if they remain there past the end of the month, U.S. troops will help them evacuate past the end of the month.
Leisha, our focus right now is on doing the work at hand and on the task at hand, and that is day by day getting as many American citizens, as many SIV applicants, as many members of a vulnerable population who are eligible to be evacuated to the airport and out on planes. And we're going to do that in an expeditious fashion. That is the focus of the President, of our Secretary of Defense, of our Secretary of State, and everybody on our national security team. So that is where we will keep our efforts.
Did you hear her answer to the question? Let's watch the very beginning one more time. Hold on.
That if they remain there past the end of the month, U.S. troops will help them evacuate past the end of the month.
Leisha, our focus right now is on doing the work at hand and on the task at hand, and that is day by day getting as many American citizens, as many SIV.
As many American citizens. That is a qualifier. Right now, 10 to 20,000 Americans, it's reported. Kayleigh McEnany was reporting on this. It was reported that 10 to 20,000 Americans are stranded in Afghanistan. 10 to 20,000 still in Afghanistan, with the Taliban going around and starting to execute people. Do you not understand not only how cataclysmically horrible this whole leadership debacle has been, almost as though it's on purpose, but you understand what she's getting at. She's admitting that they might not be able to get all the people out of Afghanistan. Now, I think about this a couple different ways. Why don't Joe Biden go in there, lock the place down, and get all the Americans out one by one? That's certainly not what they're communicating. What they're communicating is this is a process, and we're staying focused on the task at hand, which is a a virtue signaling. It's almost like it's a it's almost like it's a Lean Six Sigma fig leaf. Lean Six Sigma is this process where you try to figure out, okay, it's systems engineering. How do things go? What's the linchpin? Focus on that. So for her to say we're focusing on the task at hand, she doesn't identify what the task at hand is. That could be anything. The task at hand in their assessment could be the thing that you shouldn't be focused on, right? Like you shouldn't be focused on the fact that Joe Biden is at Camp David eating ice cream whenever you've got tens of thousands of Americans stranded in an Islamic country where people are, coming around the airport, killing people in public, stealing off girls, crucifying Christians in the streets. But if the task at hand is focused on, giving up-to-date information to the president who's at Camp David eating ice cream, you don't know what the task at hand is. So she's using language that distracts you and diverts you away from what it is. But if you listen to what she's saying, she's telling you, she's acknowledging the fact that they're likely going to leave people behind. Is this America anymore? Is this... Who's in charge? Why are we doing this? Why is this happening? How did this come about so quickly? That's right. The Arizona audit report is coming out in a few days. Do not doubt me. And this is why we're in the next phase. This is why I think we're moving to a next phase. The Arizona audit and the results therein belie the truthfulness of what's going on. That if the cherry on top is that the election was stolen, then you start to question the people that are in power. And if you question the legitimacy that, are you guys even supposed to be there? Then that opens up the door for other potentialities. Military-industrial complex, international coordination. If the Bidens really are owned by China, which why isn't anyone looking into Hunter Biden's laptop, then why would Joe Biden seemingly pull out of Afghanistan without getting American citizens, having a distribution force? Why were the logistics, as it was reported, why were the logistics for the Afghan National Security Forces pulled away? They couldn't get gas. They couldn't have fuel. Some of them didn't have access to the AHA, the ammo holding area, for them to have ammo for their weapons. And so whenever the Taliban make a push to Kabul, which they did, you got the ANSF, the Afghan National Security Forces, don't have access to their fuel for the trucks to deploy, to go to patrol, to push back, to fight, to keep the fight outside of the city while the retrograde is completed. They don't have, in some cases, access to their weapons and munitions. How are you going to fight if you can't fight because you don't have ammo to fight? So all of these are like basic things that, because you and I didn't previously know about them, we're looking at the chaos in Afghanistan going, what's going on? But you and I shouldn't have to know about the critical failures in the logistics or the deployment of the ANSF to defend the retrograde of the Western forces. You and I should look at the fact that, okay, all right, they're leaving Afghanistan, and the Afghan National Security Forces that we trained and equipped for 20 years are able to withstand beyond the 2 days to a numerically inferior force that's been in hiding for the last 20 years. There's a lot of bad stuff going on about this situation. I don't quite know how to read it. I don't want to chalk it up to bad leadership. I think what's happening in Afghanistan is being done deliberately. Putting on my tinfoil hat, my read of this situation is that the godless commies are letting Afghanistan deteriorate, one, so that Afghanistan is unified and will go for whoever the leaders of Afghanistan will go for. I think Afghanistan wanted to rally in this. I have nothing to prove this. It's just me looking at things, thinking about it from a highly skeptical lens. I don't think that this is a result of just failure at the State Department or failure at the DOD. I don't think that's the case. I think this is something more malevolent. I think it's more about transferring power, Afghanistan, the minerals and the people of Afghanistan switching over to the communists. I think that the Afghan people, who generally don't like the Americans because they've been there for 20 years and they're Western and they're not Muslim, generally support the Taliban. The Taliban, who don't give a crap about the people but want an Islamic caliphate, who want an Islamic theocracy, we're promised that with Biden, because we now know that the Chinese, and they've already met today, the Chinese are going to come in and meet with the Afghans, exploit the nation of Afghanistan for its minerals. But they're not going to actually invade in the sense that America or the Soviet Union invaded. China is just going to do a business deal where they're going to extract the minerals from Afghanistan, and the people at the top of Afghanistan, the warlords and the leaders in the Taliban, are going to get that much richer. So the people of Afghanistan, who I care very much about, are still going to continue to get screwed over. They're not going to hear the gospel. They're going to continue to get pounded, and then they're going to have all the wealth underneath their feet extracted. Now, why would this be the case? Because if you have a militarily and globally weakened America, because the egg on our face is that Afghanistan has fallen, just today you had China. I'm skipping ahead of myself. Reuters reported China holds assault drills. This is today. Or, I mean, yesterday, because they're on the other side of the planet. But, like, China holds assault drills near Taiwan. Poll quote says, China carried out assault drills near Taiwan today, on Tuesday, with warships and fighter jets exercising off the southwest and southeast of the island in what the country's armed forces said was a response to external interference and provocations. Taiwan, which Beijing claims as Chinese territory, that's the important part. Beijing claims as Chinese territory, has complained of repeated PLA drills in its vicinity for the past 2 years or so in part. Do you know what's going on? You know what's going to go on? You're going to have China invade Taiwan within the near term. Why? Because China is getting the signal from Biden that he's not going to do anything militarily to save face, to project America's sovereignty or influence, and basically our military is going to take a back role. Now, why would this be the case? Why would America, from its decades-long position, why would the military-industrial complex take a step back, lose in such dramatic fashion, in such stupid fashion, and then China the very next day starts to do drills off Taiwan that it has had territorial claims for decades on? Either A, the military-industrial complex in America understands that when China goes into fight Taiwan, the military-industrial complex in America now knows, well, hey, we got a more legitimate, justified fight against a bigger enemy, which means more money, more weapons, more jets, more whatever. So we'll give you Afghanistan, and we'll let that thing go to hell because who cares? They're Afghans, right? So we're going to let those guys go, and then China will invade Taiwan. Well, when China invades Taiwan, a la Saddam Hussein in Kuwait, 1991, military-industrial complex gets to get involved in an area of the world that it would like to have the control of, South China Sea, those littoral trading routes there in Asia, because it's always wanted to flex the muscle out that way. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be correct, because if I'm correct, a lot of people are going to die. But if I'm correct, think about the pettiness of allowing the initiation, or I should say at the very minimum, the redistribution of geopolitical power. For what? To distract from an audit? To distract from the truth that's going to come out about the 2020 election in the county of Maricopa in the state of Arizona? It's not even a full state forensic audit. Now you might think, you may think, Jarrin, that's a really big conclusion to say that all this stuff is happening because it's a pre-distraction from Arizona. You might be thinking that's a big leap. It's a really big leap to go from the results in Maricopa County, the audit results from Maricopa County would have no implications on Afghanistan and none on Taiwan and China. You might even think, well, China's territorial claims on Taiwan have been decades in coming. That's something that's coming, Jarrin. That's not contingent upon Maricopa County. Possible. But think about the timing of it. Why now? China hasn't been making any big moves. Taiwan certainly hasn't done anything to justify it. The Chinese made their drills today to justify the interference because they received the signal from a weakened and retreating U.S. military that just lets the Taliban do whatever they want to the people, and they don't see Americans doing it. They got the signal loud and clear. Roger that. Y'all guys ain't going to play ball. And so wouldn't it be the case, 9/11, Desert Storm, wouldn't it be the case, Gulf of Tonkin, wouldn't it be the case that you have something happen, you have something flare up major that then justifies the military-industrial complex, the godless commie propaganda media coming back to you and me, the American people, the patriots, asking for us to, we got to go defend freedom in Taiwan because they just got, invaded by the Chinese. I don't want to defend Taiwan against the Chinese. I don't want Taiwan to be in China, but I don't want us to go to war over an island in the South Pacific. Why? Because we just got done getting whooped in a country the size of Texas in the middle of Asia. Why are we fighting these wars of containment? You go back to George Kennan, the Long Telegram, 1947, the strategy of containment to contain the Soviet Union was really a fig leaf to justify military adventurism all throughout the world. Tanks and planes and bombs and all sorts of bullets. Make sure we put these American boots every single place in the world. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I don't think that I am, clearly, but I really hope that I'm wrong. I can absolutely see military action and all of these foreign invasions, foreign wars, as a distraction from what's going on in little Maricopa, Arizona. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. It is only a matter of time. This was reported, and this makes me more suspicious. This is from the Daily Mail. This was reported today. Why is it only a matter of time before another 9/11? Fears withdrawal from Afghanistan means U.S. is, quote, taken eyes off overseas terrorism. Are you kidding me? What? So 48 hours after this massive security debacle and tens of thousands of people and folks, dropping off planes. And by the which way, if you ever hear someone say America sucks, just recognize that thousands of dudes in Afghanistan stormed the airfield to hang onto a jet on the off chance they could fly to come here. And then you saw the picture of 800 of them packing into a C-17. It's like this is where the world wants to be. But why would they say it's only a matter of time before another 9/11? It's only a matter of time before another 1776. It's only a matter of time before another 1812, before another 1864. What are we just going to say it's only a matter of time before a historical date? It's only a matter of time before another event. This is a type of fear mongering. This is programming. This is people trying to send signal to plant the seeds in your brain, in the eyes, in the ears, to dominate the key terrain. What they're trying to do is they're trying to condition people to expect there's going to be another 9/11. Did you know there's going to be another 9/11? Well, now that we're not in Afghanistan and all those jihadis are all over the place, we should probably expect another 9/11. Okay, pull quote. Says, hold on, I still got some Omega. Former U.S. Representative Peter King said, "I'm worried we've taken our eyes off overseas terrorism when we need to be focusing on it most." That dude obviously did not serve overseas. Our presence in Afghanistan meant we had eyes and ears on Pakistan, which has nuclear weapons that we need to monitor carefully. We're losing all that. What? Why? How? Okay, so you get this. Let me see if we can't decipher this. This article right here says it's only a matter of time before another 9/11. But he's not talking about planes into buildings. What's he talking about? Keeping eyes on Pakistan, which, quote, has nuclear weapons that we need to monitor carefully. So is the subtext that Peter King is talking about? Is that because Pakistan has nukes and we're not there, so we can't watch them, so therefore Pakistan's nukes are going to do what? Another 9/11? And is that only a matter of time? Are we going? Is this predicting explosions, like massive explosions here on the United States? Now, why would this article be coming out the day after all the fallout in Afghanistan? Am I the only one that thinks like this? Am I the only one that experts say airport security is weaker than ever? I mean, come on, but they got the doors where they seal in the pilots. You're not going to have another hijacking if we're worried about another 9/11. You know, it's just so he goes on. Chairman and Joint Chief of Staff General Mark Milley, Woke Milley, told a bipartisan group of senators during a Sunday call that a past assessment of how soon the terrorist groups will reemerge in Afghanistan will drastically speed up due to the events over the last week. Okay. How does that affect national security in the United States? The people who planned the 9/11 attacks didn't plan it in Afghanistan. They planned it here in America. They executed it here in America. They did the rehearsals here in America. They didn't do it overseas. Now, this was the fig leaf, and this was the justification for the Patriot Act, which is the invasion of privacy, the police state that we have, the ongoing, annulment of the Fourth Amendment that's going on here in the United States. But you see how all these people are using fear language. We may have to change the part assessment of how soon the terrorist groups will reemerge in Afghanistan will drastically speed up due to the events over the last week. That's supposed to get some boomer who hears this to say, oh no, there's going to be another 9/11. We should be afraid, or we should send people overseas to stop them. And then without attaching it to the national security, the sovereignty of America, or the defense of our individual liberties or rights, because do these people risk them? No. But people are going to start to make that connection. Okay, we're at risk, so we have to do something, and then we solve that. This is the Hegelian dialect in operation. What's his name? Frederick Hegel, or he's in hell because he didn't believe in Jesus. But Hegel, German philosopher, said that the best way to steal people's liberty is through an incremental approach. And so the way that they would do it is they would present a problem, knowing what the reaction would be, and in the middle they would come up with a solution. And as a response, they would continue to work to take people's liberty. So what you do is you say, there's going to be an attack. It's a 9/11 style attack. And people, because they remember 9/11, they're going to be like, holy crap, no, we can't have that. So then the solution is what? More loss of liberty, more giving up of our rights, sticking stuff up our noses, right? Making sure you can't eat or can't go anyplace unless you have a specific thing that's been put into your body. Which, by the way, now's probably a good time to put it out. This is a pregnant mom. Listen to what she has to say about being identified as someone who cannot participate in society.
Since I've had a cardiologist appointment scheduled since May, it is now August. Today is my appointment. I show up for that appointment wearing a mask. He's wearing a mask. And I'm told that because I am not vaccinated and because he is too young to be vaccinated, I can't be seen. A 5-month pregnant woman who is having heart problems cannot see the cardiologist she has waited months to see because I'm not vaccinated. Tell me again that it's about public health. These doctors and nurses should be ashamed of themselves for turning away a patient who needs help because of their vaccination status. Unreal.
As a counter to that, there is a way, let me put this up, there is a way, see that, I got the board, there is a way that we can respond, and I think we should. This morning, Lynn Wood, for whatever reason, got it in himself to start writing stuff like this. He wants people to go on a strike. This is him on Telegram. Stock up between now and September 11 on food, water, other essentials. We stop doing business with the tyrants on September 11. This is not a one-day strike on September 11. This is a strike that must be prepared to continue until we bring the tyrants to their knees. It will take courage and sacrifice, but courage is contagious, and we must rely on our communities to help alleviate any suffering of others. I believe our strike for freedom will spread across the nation. I believe our nation's courage to strike for freedom will spread to the people and countries around the world. We can do this, patriots, and there is more we can do peacefully, or more we can peacefully do. Stay with me. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to speak about that, but before I continue to get into that, because he's got 3 more posts I want to read, I want to use graphical depictions to kind of present the framing where I think Lynn's coming from. So I have 3 videos. He has 3 more posts, and then we can talk about stuff. But I'll weave as I always do. I'll weave brilliance interspersed throughout. But I was really impressed by this woman. I think this is the essence of what we're getting at. Watch this.
It's illegal. Not only are the mandates illegal, it goes against everything. I mean, if you really want to talk about the radical left, they don't believe in animal testing, but yet they want to test vaccines on our children. So right there, that goes to tell you about the type of people that they are. But I'm really here today to say no to the mandates, no to what Blvd is doing. He's crippled our restaurants, our economy, enough. Okay, if you can cross the southern border with no problem, but you can't go into a restaurant without showing papers. You can come into the southern border, but you can't go into a gym without showing papers. These are my papers, the Constitution of the United States of America. And I also have my antibodies that no one wants to talk about, natural immunity. I want to talk about natural immunity. So I have mine for 16 months. I have natural immunity, okay? When they claim that it's only 3 months, I have it for 16 months and counting. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Say no. Say no to the mandates. Say no. Remember, it's not anti-vax, it's pro-freedom. Mwah.
Amen. Amen. To that end, you have an assassination opportunity. I am hosting, yours truly is hosting in Tulsa this weekend, this Friday, the very first Never Again rally. No more election fraud, lockdowns, or mandates. If you're in Oklahoma, around me, it's going to be Veterans Park in Tulsa. I mean, you don't have to be an Oklahoma citizen, but tell your government to obey. I mean, look at that graphic. I did that in my kitchen by myself. I did that. Now, you might think, well, Jarrin, that's not really a good graphic. It's kind of the point. I'm not a graphicologist. I'm not a clickety-clack. I'm a dude that, like, looks at that and is like, yeah. I had symmetry in the triangles. I have the shading behind the letters. Look at that. Look at the shading behind the letters. I did that. I pushed a button on a computer to make that happen. That's brilliant stuffology. There needs to be a lot of these. There needs to be a lot of these going on because this is how people enter the next phase. This is how you and me, the American public, enter the next phase into what this is, a spiritual war. We're bringing things from the spiritual realm into the physical realm. That's now where it's going. That's now what's happening. As we continue to pursue truth for the election audits, as we continue to defend our rights by not complying and saying no, it is now the opportunity to get more physical insofar as you start to aggregate the body politic. You start to manifest we the people. If I have not said this, I need to say this. War story, Afghanistan. So everyone's talking about Afghanistan. My first deployment, we had an Afghan governor, Afghan sub-governor, politician who wanted to talk to the people. We go around and he said, I want to talk to the people. I said, all right, sure, whatever. It's your country. We're going to do what you want. So he said, round them all up. So we went to the bazaar, the marketplace, on the busiest day of the week, and we rounded everybody up. I went shop to shop and I closed people down. This is why whenever the cops shut me down, whenever COVID started, I was like, all right, it's going to go to war. Like that was my first thought. It's going to go to war, so I need to get in guns and ammo, which is what I've done. But this is from that. So like this combat story is why I think the way that I think. Because the politician came to me, the guy with the guns, and he says, round them up. I want to talk to him. And I was like, wait, what? You want me to round them up? Yeah. What about their stores? Shut them down. That's what he said. Okay, I roger that. And so as the guy that had the guns, I went and shut down shops of Afghans, and I rounded them up because I was told to do it, and I could. And no one could resist me. Do you now see how do you not see now how I have personal firsthand experiences as the godless commie tyrant against the person just trying to live their life? Like, that's why I know these people. I was these people, and I've done what they want to do in America to people in Afghanistan. So I'm coming from a perspective of knowing what's going on. So we went around shop to shop to shop, and we shut them down. We pulled the doors shut. We forcibly moved people out. We arrested a few people. Like, we got them out. We got them all huddled together right outside of the bazaar because we wouldn't let them leave either. We rounded them all up. So I round a corner to see where my guys have pinned up all these Afghans that we've kicked out of the marketplace and made to go there. The busiest day of the week, the biggest shopping day of the week, shut them all down. They go out there, and what do I see? 5 100,000 Afghans. It's like Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. They're unarmed and they're just sitting there, and because they all like kneel down and they've got great T-spine flexibility, they can like hug their knees and they can squat down and hug their knees. Like every Afghan can do that. It's amazing. And I walk out there and I'm scared to death because even though none of them have guns, they outnumber me like a bazillion to one, and they're just quietly watching me. And I realized if that culture was a culture like an American culture where people are used to their freedoms, they will stand up and overwhelm them. And then 2020 came, and my American culture has just been pulverized and complied into obedience, has been coerced into silence. And I'm over here going, we got Americans left? Is this America or is this Afghanistan? So to that point, that woman, she's like from a New Yorker. She had that beautiful New Yorker accent. That's what we're getting at. And so Lynn called me today, a couple hours ago, and he was like, we got to live local. I was like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. He goes, yeah, but we got to do it. I was like, yeah. He's like, no, but we got to do it. I was like, yes, Lynn, I agree. What do you need me to do? And he's like, pray. We just got to set a date. I said, okay. I said, oh. I love Lynn. But he's like, we just got to set a date. I was like, okay, let's do it. So he says, during the Strike for Freedom, 1, organize and attend prayer meetings. So this is, I'm reporting this. Take notes, because I'm 100% on board. I'm 100% on board. Not just because it's Lynn Wood, not just because it's kind of ipso facto what I've been preaching for a while, because it's the right thing to do. This is how you fight back against the godless commies. You might not think it. You might be like, well, but this is how you do it. You know what? I need to prime you again. I have 2 more clips. I'm going to prime you. The first one, I'm going to be talking about the movie Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom. It's the story of Balian, a French guy who's defending Jerusalem against Salahuddin, the Muslim king that was one of the greatest warlords of the Muslim kingdom. Now, Salahuddin is invading and attacking, and they've laid siege on Jerusalem. They can only attack one side. It's got a bunch of walls. The forces inside, led by Balian, the guy played by Orlando Bloom, is a bunch of nobodies. Like you. Like me. The godless commies, the Muslims, on the outside of Jerusalem that are coming to the Promised Land to take back the capital are bombarding them with rocks and killing them, and they outnumber them. And they've got better trained fighters. And so on the inside, you've got this ragtag bunch of, blacksmiths and grave diggers and just bakers and just random nobodies like you, like me, random bunch of nobodies that are preparing to defend themselves against the onslaught of the godless commies. So that's the context. Now, Orlando Bloom is a knight, and he goes around, he says, you know what? I'm going to make knights. Because some dude comes up to him, he's like, we don't have any professional fighters. We don't have any celebrity conservative Republicans. We don't have enough Dan Crenshaws. We don't have enough Donald Trumps. We don't have enough Lynn Woods. We don't have enough General Flynn's. We don't have enough Jarrin Jacksons. And so the guy's like, you know what? You're right. On your knees. And he knights them all. Knights them all. Makes knights. Makes common people into knights. Gives them the title. So, that's the prime. Here's the video.
Rise a knight! Rise a knight! Who do you think you are? Will you alter the world? Doesn't making a man a knight make him a better fighter? Yes.
Now, you know why that's important? That's hope. Hope and belief in something that you can't see, but if everyone recognizes it's true and everyone values it, then that thing can be held up as a rallying idea. In that situation, it was knights Lynn Wood is calling for people to take their dollars, like I've been preaching. Your dollars are bullets. Your prayers are nukes. Take your dollars and take them away from the godless commies. Entertainment, groceries, banking. There's a guy named Nick Vujicic, no arms, no legs, Christian. He loves Jesus. He just got approved for his bank. I'm going to try to make contact with him and be like, dude, let's get this thing going, because I will take all of my money out of the bank that I currently have, USAA, and I will put all of my money in his bank. Why? Because he's not a godless commie, because he's a Christian, and he wants to support the good ideas, not only for this country, but those who are God-fearing. And that's what you have to start doing. So that guy's question, does making a man a knight make him a better fighter? And he turns around and he says, yes. Yes, it does. Why is it? Because that person is no longer just fighting. That person is fighting as though he's something valuable, someone valuable that has an influence. Because he is. Because you do. Because you always have. And these godless commies have created the reality that you perceive to tell you that you're comfortable, you're complacent. Stop doing that. Don't worry about that. Here's your college sports. Did you know that D1 athletes can have their images used and they can make money now? Ooh, let's talk about the sports statistics. It's like, the godless commies have created a culture that has defanged men, taken their purpose, robbed them of their opportunity to build a world, but most importantly, has distracted them from defending the weak. And the defense of the weak has been left to women. The defense of the weak has been left to people who are trying to be smart and use fancy words and hide behind degrees and notions of expertise. When what you need is just to get your hands in the dirt, make something, build something, defend something, tell people no, stand firm. I don't have to go this way. I don't have to go that way. I sure as hell ain't going to run away. I just have to stand where I'm at. And don't you understand that when you stand, no one can put anything on your back? You're not hunched over like a table. You're standing straight up. I'm not going to get yoked up to these godless commies to enslave me with their comfort and their convenience. That's what this is about. Look at where your dollars go and control it. Control it. I don't understand why it's so hard. And what I love is that today Lynn Wood metaphorically slapped me in the face and said, let's go. I was like, amen. Amen. So he said, no, I've already put that. So he said, let's go. Organize and attend prayer meetings. This implied task. And so this is how you recruit people. This is how you recruit. For those people who love Jesus, you go to church, you need to go to church and start talking to people about how do we love people the way that Jesus wants us to love them. And then this is going to get under so many people's skin, because they don't want to talk politics in church. They don't want to talk politics when they talk religion. They don't want to talk politics when they talk Christ. Christ is king, and he conquered everything. Everything. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Yeah, let's just go there. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I'm all on the top. And by the way, someone checked me. It was Jeremiah chapter 1. Jeremiah chapter 1 is when God watches over the performance of his word. Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck. A time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to cast stones, a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to cast away, a time to tear, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. You are in a time for war. The war is spiritual, trending physical, in the eyes, in the ears, for the domination, the key to reign, the prize is the soul. These godless commies have used a market of comfort and convenience to put you on their plantation. I am asking you to consider to take your bullets, to take your dollars, and to start using them to support people who are not godless commies. Moreover, Lynn Wood specifically is saying you need to go to church, attend your prayer meetings. And maybe these prayer meetings aren't at your Sunday church, but maybe you go to people who you go to church with and say, let's start having prayer meetings. Why is that? You know what? I want to teach you a real quick story. You probably already know this because you read your Bible. Go with me to Acts chapter 11. We're going to go to verse 26. Acts chapter 11, verse 26. Jarrin, why are you reading me Acts chapter 11, verse 26? Well, it's pretty simple. It's the very first time that anyone who followed Jesus was called a Christian. And who was it by? Verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him to Antioch. For a whole year they met with the church and taught a great many people. And in Antioch the disciples were first called Christians. They were called Christians by people who weren't Christians. Because the people who weren't Christians saw the Christians, and what were they always talking about? This dude named Christ. Christians need to be about Christ. If you're about Christ, you're not going to tolerate godless communism. You're not going to look at tyranny. You're not going to allow the control and the complacency and the deprivation of God's created order and just kind of sit back and be like, well, I can't do nothing. I'm not in a position to do nothing. That's garbage, that's crap, and you know it. So go to your prayer meetings, pray for God to save our country. Amen. Number 2, organize and attend peaceful rallies. Well, hey, Lynn, what did Jarrin do, Lynn? Where are we at? Did I do this? No, I haven't done it yet. I did it earlier. You have this, right? You have this. There's your rally. And you can do, look at that. Don't tell me, Jarrin, you're a celebrity on the internet. Look at my rally flag flyer, guys. That took me like 5 minutes in PowerPoint. Don't talk to me about, well, I'm just a nobody and I can't. Come on. Can you do, you know what? Send me flyers in my Telegram. Like, send me the flyers in my Telegram. I want to see if anyone could do a better flyer than me. So with that, he keeps going on. No. Quiet, Orlando. He goes, stop doing business with the enemy. Show the enemy who really holds the power of the purse strings. Hurt the enemy economically. Amen. I want to do one last thing. I got one last poll quote. Excuse me, 2 last poll quotes and one thing. Lynn then gives me a shout out. As we the people organize to prepare for the September 11, 2021, follow the lead of Jarrin Jackson to live local. This is why I want to start talking about the specifics of what we do, because quite frankly, Lynn Wood said for people to look at what I do. So now I gotta do stuff. Identify those small businesses owned and operated by patriots. That's how you do it. Go to a business. Walk in. Who owns this? Oh, Johnny Sue. Okay, where is Johnny Sue from? Oh, he's from the Dominican Republic. Okay, that's fine. Where does he live? Oh, he lives in the United Arab Emirates. Oh yeah, we're not going to frequent this business anymore. So I don't care what country they're from. I mean, we have a bunch of immigrants in our country. We have a bunch of settlers in our country. I care about, are they an American citizen? And do they live locally from their business? If they live 500 miles away from their business, that's not really local. They could be an American, but if it's not local, don't go there. We the people support them. Some may criticize the effort. Will it work? Will the people determine the outcome? What do we have to lose? What do we have to gain? Fear of failure and inaction are the greatest impediments to success. We can do this, we the people. Now, I think that's sufficiently primed. Upon hindsight, this is actually a pretty horribly acted movie, but I loved it when I was growing up. It's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. There's a specific scene that I'm going to play, and it's basically the montage of the people in Sherwood Forest being told that they have the ability to withstand the Sheriff of Nottingham. You are a nobody, and you have the ability to withstand the godless commies. Let's let Kevin Costner take the lead. Go for it, sir.
I will make you no promises save one. That if you truly believe in your hearts that you are free, then I say we can win.
They got armor!
They got armor, Paul? Even this boy can be taught to find the chinks in every suit of armor.
But we ain't got nothing to eat!
What do we need that the forest cannot provide? We have food, wood for weapons. We'll find safety and solace in our trees.
Yeah, but what about our kin? Shutter's taking all they got, too.
And by God, we take it back.
See how they start doing stuff? They start doing stuff. They use God's earth to do stuff and make stuff. Keep going. Yeah. It's a montage. So everyone needs a montage. Normal people, dirt in their cuticles, doing stuff with the things that God gave them, serving each other, fighting back and overcoming the godless commies. The way that you recruit people is you have values and truth, clarity of purpose and conviction. You know these things. You believe these things. You need to start voicing these things. You need to start demonstrating these things. There's a lot of people, and I don't mean to be critical, but let's be straight. There's a lot of folks that have benefited from this country. And because they've benefited from this country, they're thankful for that. But now they don't know what to do. I got off the phone with some boomers, some lovely boomers. Love them. Boomers are my parents, by the way. My parents are boomers. I love boomers. I'm not insulting them. The baby boomer generation, 10,000 of them every day turn 65. They're getting, most of them are older than that by now. 75% of the discretionary income in the United States belongs to the baby boomer generation. The baby boomers have not had a major war. They had Vietnam, but they were towards the latter part of that. They have not had a major war. They have not had an economic catastrophe except for the housing market in 2008. By that point, baby boomers were at the height, should have been at the height of their earning potential. They're working their way into their wealth stage. They've got 75% of the discretionary income in the United States. They've never had to fight in the sense that foreign battlefields or Great Depression or something along those lines. This is not me saying that baby boomers haven't had it bad and don't have problems. Don't hear that. I'm saying that the baby boomers are the generation that has to save America. Has to. Every generation's going to have their role to play. Millennials have to grow up and stop being know-it-alls. Generation Z are the ones who are going to have to actually work, like do the work, cutting the cows, tilling the fields, like sowing the stuff. Their backs and their knees and their bodies are going to have to be used to like do the work because they're the young ones, right? Millennials need to be the ones that grow up to connect multiple generations because people like me, born in 1985, remember the world before the internet, but have also grown up with the internet. So I stand on either side of this massive pre-internet, old people getting older, dying off, and now internet where I've grown up with the internet. Like, I remember the world before the internet became popular. So I and millennials stand astride that great fissure, that Gutenberg moment. You remember when Gutenberg, well, you don't because we weren't alive, but when Gutenberg made the printing press was an informational revolution because it disseminated and allowed information to be distributed unlike any other time in the entire history of the world. The internet, the smartphone, that was a Gutenberg moment. The internet was a Gutenberg moment with the way that people digest information. And so now you got a bunch of old people who didn't grow up with the internet, but now have it, and then they can use it and everything like that. And there's a lot of boomers that are better than me on the internet, and that ain't saying much, but they're better than me on the internet. But they remember a society with truth, a society focused on family values, a society where hard work paid off, and they worked, and they benefited from the system. And now you've got this internet system. You've got these generations that are doing nothing but marinating and basking in the internet. They've never known a world without that. So millennials' job is to tie the two together. Millennials' job, and that might be undoable, but our job is to tie the people who don't know anything but the internet to the people who wish we had anything. We had everything but the internet. But baby boomers are going to be the ones that have to buy America back. Baby boomers are going to be the one that have to take their money. And that's a big ask. I get it. Like, you're going to be retired and you're riding off into the sunset. But if you riding off in the sunset means that my country dies, I would much rather that you lose all your money and have to come live in my house the way that it should be. That I take care of my parents because that's what families are supposed to do. We need to get back to God's created order. And that is, I'm going to honor my father and mother regardless if I like them or not, regardless how old they are, or if they've got cancer, or they're falling apart, or their minds are gone. That doesn't stop, and I don't put them in nursing homes. I'm going to take care of my parents, and I'm going to use my money and the provision that God gives me to do so. Well, if you are in advanced years, and I say that as a 36-year-old, but if you're a boomer and you've got that money, think about where your money is and where your money can go. I spoke to someone who is in this age category today, her and her husband, and they were saying that they don't want their money in Vanguard. They don't want their money in Fidelity, because those are the same companies, hear me, those are the same companies that are destroying America. Those are the same companies that are exploiting people across the world for cheap labor to maximize their profits here. So if you're looking at your 401k or your Roth or your IRA or whatever, you're making money on digits. It's not like actual stuff. You're making money digitally, which is a computer. They can just delete that anyway. You're making money digitally, and you're doing so based on the profits of people overseas and halfway around the world that are being exploited, treated like garbage. We've got to hire Americans, buy American, build America, invest in America, support America. And it starts by taking your dollars, like the dollars that you actually spend, and figuring out where you're going to put it. That's like that. In my view, that's the best way to do it. I have one last Lynn Wood thing to end on. It says the strikes for freedom on September 11. So from now to September 11, he expects to post a list of businesses which support the strike, crossing a virtual picket line. So this is what he's going to be talking about, and I'm here to tell you, like, the dude's a pretty like focused guy, and when he's focused, he's focused. I suggested he called Clay Clark. He called Clay. Those guys they got together because Clay is figuring out a list of businesses that we need to go to. That basically, like, he called me the other day. He's like, Jarrin, do you know an American company that makes jeans? And I was like, no. He's like, well, I'm looking for an American company that does denim products and does jeans, and I think he's found one. But Clay was looking at what people buy and going out and finding non-godless commie companies to fill that need, because he wants to bring them all together, and he wants to bring podcasters like me. I'm not a podcaster. I'm a live streamer. He wants to bring live streamers like me to say, here's the people that do stuff. He's going to give us promo codes, and then we will use our shows to have our audiences go to them. That's what Clay's putting together. Lynn is coming from the side of we need to not spend money at these godless commie companies. So I told Lynn, your timetable is a lot faster than Clay's, so y'all guys need to talk. So they're supposed to have done that. But Lynn's supposed to get a hold of me later today or tomorrow, whatnot, and like put a panel together. And he's like, Jarrin, you got to be on the panel because it's your idea. I was like, it ain't my idea, Lynn. I'm just the guy that said live local, and I've been saying it since January. And that's because if you think about this, we got here because of globalism. We're going to overcome because of individualism. We're going to overcome because God is going to work through a bunch of little nobodies to do great things. Let me finish on this verse right here. This is 1 Thessalonians 4. No, that's 1 Peter. 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 9 through 11. Now concerning brotherly love, you have no need for anyone to write to you. For you yourselves have been taught by God to love one another. For that indeed is what you are doing to all the brothers throughout Macedonia. But we urge you, brothers, to do this more and more. To do what more and more, you ask, Paul? And to aspire to live quietly, to mind your own affairs, and to work with your hands as we instructed you, so that you may walk properly before outsiders and be dependent on no one. That is live local. Live local is 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 9 through 11. Live local. Be dependent on no one. It doesn't mean that you can't talk to people and don't do stuff, but work with your hands. Be diligent. Hire American. Buy American. Don't fire American. Figure out that your dollars are bullets. Your prayers are nukes. I hope this provided some value. I have my Live Local field manual that I need to finish that's going to give like specifics about how to recruit. I don't want to necessarily do that here because it's going to be just like bleh. That's why it's going to be in book form. It's going to be a book that you can have it and take notes. But this is what we're going to do for the rest of the week. We're talking about recruiting today. What am I talking about tomorrow? I wrote the list out on my Telegram channel. Tomorrow is going to be organizing and Thursday influencing. So we're going to be talking about like how do you get people on board? How do you organize them into things, and how do you go from there? So that's where we're at. I'm motivated. I'm psyched because all it took was one guy, Lynn Wood, to be like, "Let's go," and there you go. So I am all on board. I would encourage you to look at your bank account. If you don't have a budget, you need to have a budget. Dave Ramsey, right? Get your budget. Figure out how much you spend on food, how much you spend on entertainment, how much you just kind of give away and throw away, superfluous, dumb, stupid, undisciplined, discretionary spending. I'm guilty of that. Figure out where those pennies go, and then can you get those pennies to go to not godless commies? Can you give more money to people that are doing content like this or have other shows that are bringing the truth against the censorship? This is the time to do it. This is exactly the time to do it. And if you're listening, then you have 2 ears and 1 brain and be able to go talk to other people to do that stuff. Recruit them to watch people like Stu Peters. Recruit them to get on Telegram, to follow people like Lynn Wood. Recruit them to go to people like Professor Dave Clements, the guy that's like doing the truth about the Arizona audits, to follow people like, oh my God. Excuse me, to follow people like Wendy Rogers, to follow the good politicians. By the which way, I asked Wendy, can you come to Oklahoma to do an election integrity thing? And she's like, well, let me check my schedule. So Wendy Rogers will likely be coming to Oklahoma for an election integrity forensic audit thing. Why? Because I know her, I see the need, and I'm like, hey, let's do stuff. Just because I know people that a lot of people know doesn't mean the fact that the people that you know, that other people don't know, y'all guys can't do the same kind of disproportionately powerful things in your own areas. There's a guy in this audience, Ryan Stinger. He's actually, bought some ammo from me. Thank you, Mr. Stinger. The guy's got people that follow him around Cincinnati, and they do Trump parades. It's like, Whatever you can do that thing. Manifest the power of we the people. That means a bunch of people together. Now, why is that important? Because the godless commies don't want to touch that. They don't want to poke the skunk. They don't want to challenge that directly. And as we move into this next phase, I won't say final phase, this next phase of this spiritual war that's going on, in the eyes, in the ears, to dominate, to keep, to reign, the prize of the soul, that's one of the most powerful weapons we have. Your economics, your dollars are bullets, your prayers are nukes. Meeting together, which is a constitutional protected, enumerated right, like the founders specifically said that, doing that is going to wield such power. Because you can't fake that. You can't fake that funk. Be careful. Defend yourself. Beware of false flags and FBI plants. People going, we need to overthrow the government violently. Just start saying, Fed, Fed, Fed. I'm having fun, folks. This is the better side of warfare. The better side of warfare is when you recognize that you have the opportunity to employ all of your creativity to overcome a dastardly tyrant, to overcome evil. When you recognize you have been given a broad palette, a full array, a large arsenal to employ against an enemy, and it finally hits you to say, I can do all of this? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you should. Folks, this is my job, 100% listener supported. Venmo, PayPal, Subscribestar, if you want to put that freedom on autopilot. All of those links are in the description below. I appreciate that. That is a very direct and easy way. Yes, I benefit from it. Absolutely, I benefit from it. This is my job. I benefit from it. Amen. Thank you, by the way. But if you want to do PayPal, Venmo, Subscribestar, that would be my encouragement. The most important thing that I would really encourage you to do is to preach the gospel. Preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ destroys godless commie worldviews. You want to change things? Then you need to repent of your sin and humbly obey God. God says he does stuff when people preach the gospel. Why? One, just because he's God. That's what he does. That's what he wants to do. That's how he chooses to do stuff. But then two, think about this. If the gospel is the way that God has chosen to do stuff, to destroy strongholds, as Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 10, then do it and have faith that God's going to do stuff. But if you can get a godless commie to no longer be a godless commie, one, you get to save them from hell so they don't have to go to conscious eternal torment in a lake of fire. Two, most importantly, they get to have a fellowship with Jesus and you for eternity. But three, here on earth, their brain's not going to be enslaved to the plantation of the godless commies. Comfort and convenience and complacency. They're not going to be enslaved to mediocrity anymore. They're going to be burdened with glorious purpose to build things with their hands in the dirt, to make things out of nothing, to use their skill and their creativity, to flex their networks in order to get people to move in the singular direction. It's amazing what people can do. They have to be oriented on the right thing. But the gospel of Jesus Christ is that you and I have sinned. Jesus Christ took our place. Everyone sinned. Jesus Christ took our place. He took the sin, all sin past, all sin present, and all sin that's going to be sinned in the future. He paid for it all, one time. All, one time. You believe that Jesus Christ took your place. You turn away from your sin. The biblical word there is repentance. You repent of your sin. You will be baptized. You will do this. You will become born again. You will have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Most importantly, you are immediately forgiven, immediately justified. That means that in God's eyes, in the legal sense, you are no longer guilty. No longer guilty because Jesus is that good. His sacrifice is that powerful. Please repent of your sin. Turn away from sin. Believe the gospel of Jesus Christ. Don't go to hell. I love you too much. I might not be nice. I might not like you. But I love you too much to let you go to hell without telling you the truth. I'm Jarrin Jackson. I love America. Thank you for watching. Now go to war.